Hi, Matthew from Patchwerks here, and today we're going to go over chords in Eurorack. The first thing we need to define is, what is a chord? Well, a chord is a set of 3 notes or more that are played simultaneously. Chords have different inversions and different qualities, such as major, minor, minor 7, major 9, so on and so forth. In today's video, I'm going to show you a few examples of how you can make chords in your Eurorack system. Chords in Eurorack can be a complex undertaking. You need to have control over the root note of your chord, and you also have to have control over the quality of your chord. If you're just moving the root note and keeping the quality the same, well, then you're just transposing your sequence over and over again. And that often does not sound very musical unless you're just transposing fifths, and then it kind of just sounds like punk rock and modular. Maybe that's what you want. For me, I want it to sound complex. Let's put it that way. I would like it to sound as beautiful as I possibly can make it in my system. So to have that precise control over my chords, I need something that provides us with stepped voltage. Metron and Voltera will provide us with that stepped voltage. There are lots of other sequencers that can do it. Voltage block, variegate, the Rene. You have many options. You don't have to use this, but I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, Plaits has this really cool chord mode. The harmonics knob controls the quality of the chord, morph controls the waveform, and timbre controls the inversion of the chord. So all of those things work really well with stepped voltage. Right now, I have my Metron going into the trigger of Plaits. And this is preventing it from making any noise when I plug it in to my mixer. But if we play some steps down, we can hear these chords. Excellent. Okay, we have 4 chords down. I'm actually going to slow the tempo way down for us. Okay. So now we want to control the root note of our chords, and we want to control the quality of the chord. So using the Voltera, I will control the root note with the output of Voltera 1, and I will control the quality with the output number 2 on the Voltera. So, okay, so let's put in a root note here. Another root note here. Here. Okay, so now you get the idea of why it doesn't sound great just to transpose the chords with the same quality. To make this sound good, we want to change the quality of the chord. So now to change the quality of the chord. Start our sequencer, hold down a step, actually, that one sounds pretty right on. Now we have a little chord progression. Excellent. Okay, for this next example, before we get started, let's make something clear. We're going to create a paraphonic synthesizer voice. It will have polyphony, meaning it has multiple notes, but it will be sharing the same routing, which is what makes something paraphonic versus polyphonic. A polyphonic synthesizer has its own routing per oscillator or per voice. Once again, we're going to use our stepped voltage source to control our root note and quality of a chord. This time, we'll be using the Arpitecht and the Triad to quantize these values, which will be sent over to the Acid Rain chainsaw, which happens to have 3 volt per octave inputs. After that, it will go into the WMD Carbon, which is a filter, saturator, and wavefolder. And then we'll put that into our mixer. Okay, so I've set up our paraphonic synth. Last thing we need to do is send gates to our envelope generator and send our note values into our oscillator. I'm going to do that with you. We'll take note 1 into volt per octave 1, note 2 into volt per octave 2, and of course, note 3 into volt per octave 3. Now, we'll send gates to our envelope generator, and we can hear our chords. Here's our filter. Okay, now let's make a composition using this setup. Right now, the Arpitecht is controlling what scale the Triad is working with. If I am to adjust the transpose knob, it'll transpose the scale. Let me give you an example. So we're able to control that with our Volteras. This is our scales. The first one's Ionian, Dorian, so on and so forth. There's a lot of scales. So what we're going to do currently is just use our Voltera to control the Triad. Hold down select. Hit this one. Another one. And there's a lot less finagling to do with it because it's all staying in scale because of the Arpitecht. Now let's spice it up a little bit and control the inversion of our Triad with the Voltera. Output 2 into inversion. This will help demonstrate the change. However, it's still playing the same chord, just different inversions. The Arpitecht's original purpose was to make arpeggiations, hence the name Arpitecht. So we can actually use the arpeggiated output, put that into the volt per octave 1 on our chainsaw, let the Triad control the other 2 volt per octave inputs, and we can make some interesting chord melodies. So I'll start with taking my gate output, putting that into the step input of the Arpitecht, taking the gate output of the Arpitecht, putting that into the gate input of our envelope generator, take the volt per octave output of the Arpitecht and put that into volt per octave 1 on the chainsaw, if I could see it. There we go. Okay, let's put some gates down and have a listen. You can hear the chords are changing on their own, but you can see that it's the same chord, on the Triad at least. So we can change. Now let's move between these 1 notes. It's going through the octaves. Let's change a chord. Pretty cool. If you played with it long enough, you could find yourself a very, very tasty melody.